Hey class, this is the overview video for the chi-square module. The chi-square test is a statistic that we use when we have nominal or categorical type data. Previously, we talked about comparing groups with using either a t-test or ANOVA. In this module, we're going to talk about how we compare two categorical variables or frequencies across categories. This type of test is known as basically what we call a non-parametric test. Non-parametric tests are tests that make few, if any, assumptions about our data. Remember, with the t-test and ANOVA, we assumed that our data were normally distributed at a constant variance and that the samples were independent of each other. With the chi-square test, and then in the next module we'll talk about some other non-parametric statistics. These are statistics that make few, if any, assumptions about your data. In this module we're going to talk about two types of chi-square test: the chi-square goodness of fit test and the chi-square test of independence. The ratings for this week, you can see there's chapter 17 in the Graviter and Molyneux book. There's some notes here that I've produced. And then I really like this journal article here. So your chi-square is statistically significant. Now what do I do? You'll see us talking about that some in the notes as well. My notes here, I sort of give you an introduction to the chi-square test. Again, I work out the chi-square test by hand, both for the goodness of fit and test for independence. For the assignment, you can use SPSS. If you would like to work them out by hand, that's fine. So you can use either way. In the notes, I show you how to do it by hand, and then I also have two SPSS documents that show you how to actually use SPSS to analyze the data. For this module, I developed a voiceover PowerPoint. So you can't listen to it in Canvas. You'd actually have to download the PowerPoint, and then each PowerPoint screen has a little voiceover kind of talking about it. You can see a link to the article, chi-square is statistically significant. Now what do I do? My notes, I discussed one of these options. It's the comparing cells option. There it is. Where we use right here, we're going to use the standardized residual to discuss which categories contribute to that statistically significant chi-square value. But he also talks about various other ways that you could do that as well. Here's my walkthrough of the chi-square goodness of fit test in SPSS. Notice how the data are set up in this screen, how you can go through and then interpret. Notice that this one, there's two step threes. For one, when all your categories are equal, like in example 1, and another one when your categories are not hypothesized to be equal. So notice the difference between that. So in the notes, I work through all the examples by hand, and then in this, I'll show you how to work through the same examples using SPSS. So there you can see how we then interpret the output. So that's the goodness of fit test. Here's the chi-square test of independence. Same one, we'll walk through the notes, but how to do it actually in SPSS. As always, there's a quiz and a data analysis assignment. that you'll see. Along with the voiceover of PowerPoint, I've also linked to several additional videos. There's a Khan Academy video on computing chi-squares. I believe they do it by hand. Here's a couple videos about fitting different, the goodness of fit and test of independent and SPSS, and then a couple short additional lecture videos on chi-square test. You know, as always, if you have any questions, please email me, post a question to the message board. I'm available to help as you need it. Have a good day. Thank you.